Welcome to the Pro Cheerleading Podcast, hosted by Mhkeeba
and Brittany, two former NFL cheerleaders discussing hot topics in the pro cheerleading industry
and revealing the truth behind the Poms. Hello, thanks for joining the Pro Cheerleading Podcast, everybody. Now we're official.
Yep, we're officially live on Instagram. Well, I wasn't supposed to say that.
I was like, I'm going to have to edit that, Brittany. No, I'm kidding. Again, we're doing this really just to interact with our listeners because we love you guys so much. And we want to make sure that we are talking about all the relevant tea because we can only stalk Instagram so much, right? I mean,
true.
I do my best, but people are busy. It was Sunday, you know, people went to the game. What did we do this weekend, Britt?
We went to the Seahawks game. We were invited back to basically be recognized as Super Bowl cheerleaders. So that was amazing.
Yeah.
It was kind of last minute, I think, for everybody, even the players, but it was super cool. They did the Super Bowl Legends halftime ceremony, and basically we had like a reunion. So with all of our gals, it was cool.
It was really cool. So the Super Bowl appearances were 2005, 2013, and 2014. And luckily we got to participate because it was really just a unique opportunity to see everybody. We don't know the girls that were in the 2005 squad, but just trying to introduce yourselves and improve our little alumni network because I think it's really hard. People move away, they have kids, like life goes on, and I really enjoyed the reunion aspect. It was pouring down rain, so that part was not fun.
Like old times. So
I know,
it was
right?
a lot of fun.
Sacrificed the hair a couple times for photo ops, but you know, you got to do what you got to do and just support your team. I didn't recognize any of the guys either, though, except a couple.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got to participate.
Good.
Anyways, back at it. How was everybody? How did your teams do? You know, I hope everybody had a great...
I know.
I almost said Super Bowl Sunday.
Because it's Monday. And
it is Monday.
Yes. Long day today, but we have Monday Night Football tonight with the Redskins cheerleaders. Obviously, it's a home game for them, so we're kind of missing the game, so we'll have to watch later on to see how they're doing out there.
Yeah, so what other updates do we have for Cheer Chat?
So after the Super Bowl thing, let's see. So we've been doing a little, updating, keeping an eye on things. Obviously, for all of the NBA teams that went coed, we want to see how life is going, right? And what they're posting about their new team. And so the 916 crew ended up posting like a promo video with everybody dancing. And, it seems like a pretty diverse squad. You got different body types, different ages, I'm sure it looks like. What were your impressions of it? We'll link it below, but you're definitely getting a better picture of like what they're doing and what they're going to be putting out there on the court.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it was a really good variety. There was some like tricks and really technical dancers along with like hip hop. It was a really cool promo video, and I think it's going to translate really well on the NBA arena type of things. And I think we're kind of seeing that's hard to translate in an NFL arena.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I think that's the part that I struggle with going to our games for the Seahawks because it's not that there's an issue with the actual product in terms of product. I'm in work mode, okay? But in terms of like the entertainment value of what the team is doing, like they are doing some amazing choreography. I think Shannon Perez has been featured a few times with the choreography that the Seahawks dancers have done. And it looks great. It's amazing. I think it's a challenge with NFL games to really have the right spacing to give the right effect to the choreography. Because I think during the come out, which is what we call our pregame performance, especially, when you're spread out across the center of the field, it kind of sometimes takes away from the impact of like the choreography and what they're doing. Like they look better when they're kind of like squeezed in. And so, well, not even better from our view, which we're kind of front row-ish, not from up high. But I just think you really have to play with all dimensions of the stadium to really get the best view of the choreography. And I kind of feel like sometimes the choreography seems better for a smaller arena with a smaller stage, if that makes any sense. But still great job. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's like something's not connecting. And I almost think it's just like squish them in a little bit more.
And with the weather element, like, we haven't really seen good weather for
Poor
Seattle
Seahawks dancers,
games.
you've been getting like poured on like the past two games, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of good for if you're not doing like huge technical moves, you're not slipping on the turf. But for the same point, it's even harder to see because there's rain.
Yeah.
It's different. So still adjusting, I think.
Yeah. But we're excited to keep watching, and Lord knows how many games we'll be able to go to, but it was really cool to be back and watch them. So we're going to talk about Cleveland right now. So it looks like the Powerhouse Dancers have their team, and they look pretty diverse too. And, you know, they aren't showing too much of what they've been up to. But the Cleveland dads, the dancing dads.
Mm-hmm. So they had a promo video, which we'll link down below, but it was kind of silly, and it reminds me of the Maniacs.
Pretty much. It's like Maniacs 2.0.
It's just like being silly and goofy and like you're a dad, so you qualify. I did see some like choreographer trying to teach them moves,
stuff, yeah.
But again, it's more of a joke than anything.
It's almost like just let them have one big dad bod freestyle where they just kind of like go out onto the court for that minute of a routine, and instead of them doing choreography, just let them show their unique, whatever made them special enough to make the team. Let them goof around and do some weird moves and rub their belly or whatever they're going to do, and just let that be the entertainment. Don't try to make a dance team out of it. Like, let's be real, guys. I don't understand what the purpose of that, like, for entertainment value is. I just don't think you're going to get the same effect of, like, a all-male dance group, especially if it's on the premise of them just having dad bods and being a dad. I mean, there's no other basis for it, but to try to turn them into a dance team is kind of like a crock of crap. Do you guys like it when I don't curse? I don't know. I feel like I'm being like Miss Prissy Missy.
You're being fine. Okay, what
Can
else?
I just scream one in? No, I'm just kidding. I won't curse unless it's really necessary.
What else? This is a good thing.
Yeah.
I can't say it. Bajan?
Bayesian? Okay, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but we think it's super cool that the Brooklynettes have, for the past couple of years, I believe, have been going down to Barbados and conducting auditions. I don't know if it's what the tie-in is with their team. If somebody knows, please tell us. But they go down there, and it's obviously so beautiful. One of my favorite islands I've been to, and they conduct auditions, and then they pick, I think they picked around 6 or 7 dancers, it looked like, but they come up to Brooklyn and perform for their Bajan, what did you say? Bajan, Bajan, what? Bajan, whatever, we'll get it right. But they have a themed night in Brooklyn, and they get to come up and perform. And so the Brooklynettes are killing it all the time. Like, their choreography is crazy, and they seem to do so many cool things for that team. So that would be a cool game for us to go to.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to a Brooklynet game.
I just am curious
how they incorporate a Brooklynet game. Like, it's their
It's
game.
all about them.
It is.
Well,
it is,
let's
right?
be real. But I thought that was pretty cool. And I mean, some other teams have like international aspects to their auditions. Obviously, we know people come from all over for Dallas. Cowboy Cheerleaders. Miami has a very diverse team. I don't know if they do the auditions in other countries kind of thing, but we think it's great to have a little international flavor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely feels like a Monday, okay? Can I get like some hearts or something?
Mercury's about to be in retrograde too.
Really?
Yes,
That's
for like the whole... I forget. I know it's happening around my birthday, but it's a long time, like a month or something of Mercury in retrograde action. So be prepared for the weird-ish to pop off. It's coming. I feel it too. Ooh, guys. Okay, so we asked for some lacrosse cheerleaders or dancers to reach out to us, and guess who's going to get some people together?
Sunrose.
Yes.
Yay.
So our girl Sunrose cheered for the, what is it called? The Bombshells.
Yeah, Bombshells.
We're going to get a group of them together, and they're going to break it all down for us. And so we're super excited to talk to them and learn all about what game day is like for them, like just the differences. Obviously, Sunrose is cheered in the NFL with the Seahawks, but getting their group of girls together and just kind of talking about just everything. I want to hear all things. So
they're still active. I think they're just in Vancouver.
Right.
So they're in Canada now.
And so if there are others that want to share about your teams, like, we definitely welcome it. I just want to reiterate, like, we're doing our best to try to recruit current dancers to the mix. We do have our episode with Candace coming up from the Washington Redskins Cheerleaders. We want to follow up with her because we are going to be looking at the magazine that they did. And so we want to hear about that launch party. So we have to do a part 2 to our interview. So that's coming. But if you guys think that you could get approval from your directors and you'd like to talk to us, please reach out, because we understand that sometimes it gets a little sticky, but we're doing our best. Okay.
Anyways, last bit of info in terms of updates is the Orlando Magic now announced their auditions, or had their auditions for the 407.
They didn't add on crew, so let's give them a round of applause. Thanks for not making it the 407 crew, Orlando. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, coed hip hop team. So,
and they're doing the same thing that like some of these other teams are in terms of just having, you know, the 55 and older. They have the kids crew. Oh no, I don't think they pick kids this time. But they have like a stunt team that they're adding. What else?
Drumline, Hype Squad, interactive Hype Squad, which nobody really asked for, but okay.
Hype me up. Hype me. We need to go to an NBA game and see how hype
it gets.
It gets. Like, they must be giving away something beyond T-shirts these days to get that hype. But, you know, whatever. We still do not have much of an update on the Dallas Mavs, okay? What are they doing? We still don't know. And the Philadelphia Sixers, what's going on with them, guys? Like, we haven't seen anything about auditions. Their website's all jacked up. It hasn't been updated. We are excited to talk to someone that I know from my days in Philly who danced with the Sixers for quite a while, but lots of experience, and I think she has some thoughts and insight onto what these changes are and how they're impacting Philly. And if you guys know any tea, let us know too. Is tea like outdated? I feel like I'm saying like an ancient term. Okay, cheerleading tea. Anyway. Cheerleading tea. But I think that kind of captures it. So this episode is called Fingers Crossed. Should we even drop it? No, it's a secret. We're not even going to tell you. It's going to be fire this week, though, guys. Why are you looking at me scared?
Because I'm like, that's true. We can't even say what we have planned, but we need some like scheduling things to go through, right?
Yes, we're just fingers crossed, hoping that everything will work out with some approval so that we can launch an episode this week that we don't want to wait on anymore. We did some interviews over the summer with some really cool people and who have really busy schedules, and so we just want to make sure that it all lines up. But you're in for a treat this week regardless.
Is that Wednesday? Everything? Yeah. That's everything. Kind of a short little one.
Is that all we have to talk about?
I think so.
I feel like I'm like leaving something major out. Okay. This is why we need you guys to tell us what else is going on in our world so that we can make sure we're keeping up with the Joneses or the Kardashians. Did you hear? Okay, let's talk about the Emmys. I didn't watch them all. Did you guys watch them?
Oh, I saw an update today about that.
That Kim Kardashian and those guys got clowned?
Yeah, but I don't get for what. I don't really watch those shows.
They made some comment about like how unscripted it is and everybody in the audience laughed. Maybe they just made that up.
It's whatever. No, they totally film it over and over again.
Yeah. Anyways, are there any other current events we need to discuss?
Mercury's in retrograde, so that's kicking off right now, I can tell. Maybe you guys could comment and
Let's
say...
fight back.
Fight back against Mercury?
Mercury. I'm sick of that shit. It's happening around my birthday, and I really don't appreciate it. So I'm going to be fighting the good fight to not be all upside down. You guys, okay, poll. I'm just random. Am I so random?
No,
but like,
you're great.
So we're doing a trip to Oktoberfest, which is like this area in Washington called Leavenworth. That's like a little German village. I've never been. Clearly, I don't know anything about it. Who has gone to like a Oktoberfest themed function before?
Not me.
You haven't either?
No.
Okay. I'm having technical difficulties trying to figure out what freaking costume is even appropriate for this whole situation. If you have ideas and thoughts or cute pictures that you'd like to share, send them to us.
Yeah, tag us.
I need ideas.
We'll be posting photos for sure.
Don't laugh at me, okay, if I'm like the Black Swiss Miss doll that doesn't know how to freaking dress for this whole thing, but we will be posting.
It'll be fun.
Don't laugh. I'm going so I don't get fined. I love my girls. We're going to have a blast, but it'll be quite an adventure, especially for somebody who doesn't drink beer. All right.
That's random. That's it.
Okay.
High five.
How are you?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Good. You look stunning.
Goodness. There's
I look like I've been doing things today.
craziness. So where are you? Are you in New York or?
I'm in Baton Rouge right now. Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
Back home for a little bit. This is my home base, I like to call it. Right. And I've just been bopping around. I've been in Dallas a little bit. I've been in Houston, or I'm going to be in Houston. I've been, just kind of doing things.
Thank you so much for making time. Seriously, I've actually been wanting to reach out to you since our rookie season, if you will, of the podcast when we first started. Yeah, big time. Big fan. And so thank you for making time to talk to us.
Of course. Thank you for wanting me to be a part of this. I'm really honored. You have no idea.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, thank you.
You have no idea.
Really? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm a fan of y'all.
Oh my gosh, I'm such a cheesy ball, but
give us your background.
My dance background?
Yes, starting from when you were 3 and you started dance class or whatever the story is.
Okay, you know what? It's so funny because every time I tell this story, I feel like the age that I started dancing is different. Like sometimes I'm like, when I was 3, and sometimes like when I was 5, I feel like it keeps getting that. So I think it was realistically, I started dancing like when I was 5. We're going to go with that.
Okay. That's a good number.
And good round number. Started out in your typical ballet, tap, jazz, combination classes. Graduated into the competition world, convention world. Did a little bit of modern, contemporary, a little bit of hip hop, and then I started doing dance teams in junior high school. I was obsessed with, so I'm from Monroe, Louisiana, and there's a dance team, the junior high dance team always won like the state championships, the national championships, and I was like, I want to be them.
Yeah.
They're called the Regals. Got to shout out my hometown. But anyways, I joined that, and that started my dance team journey. So I was at in middle school or junior high. In high school, I was on the dance team as well, but continued doing my studio training and my convention life and all that fun stuff. Graduated high school, went to LSU, Louisiana State University, go Tigers. Okay. And my freshman year, I just took class. So I was like in the Baton Rouge Ballet Theater doing ballet. I was taking jazz classes because I wanted to try out to be a Tiger Girl my sophomore year. And so sophomore year in college, I auditioned for the LSU Tiger Girls, and they dance at the at basketball games. Now they're doing a little bit more football, go them. But when I was there, we only did basketball games, and we did UDA collegiate national championships every year. And so did that for 3 years, graduated in 2012, auditioned for Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. And that, I mean, we can get into that later because that was not in my cards at all. Did not plan to do it.
Really?
Somehow, yeah, we can talk about that in a second.
Oh my God.
There was a DCC for 4 years and took a year to, let's see, I retired, and so weird saying that, retired.
I know, right? Baby.
I retired in 2016 and took a year to like kind of get back into my dance groove, ballet, tap, jazz, because I knew I wanted to audition to be a Radio City Rockette. My first time auditioning was May of 2016. And I made it through the rounds, but didn't get the official call to be a Rockette. And then they had another audition in the fall of 2016, and I went to that one as well. Same thing happened. And April 2017, I went to that audition. Same thing happened. And I was like, oh, gee, what's going to happen? And I know, like maybe there's time to charm. I don't know. And I got invited to go to their invitational week of the summer intensive. And that was the hardest week ever. We can go into that later too. But super hard week. At the end of the week, I was offered a contract to be a Rockette, which was amazing. And yeah, I just finished my second season as a Rockette in January.
Wow.
That's my dance background.
Wow.
Well, we're going to get way into the weeds. That's amazing, obviously. Like,
yeah, that's a crazy story. And there's so much more that, like, honestly, you left out. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Like WrestleMania.
Wait, what did I leave out?
I want to know WrestleMania. That sounds really interesting.
WrestleMania. Yeah, we can dive into it. I did like an overview, like a little, a little 3 minutes of that situation.
That one caught my eye. I thought that was really funny.
It's super impressive background. And I think for the first time, just even hearing this long history of a life in dance, because neither one of us were trained in dance. So I hear things and I'm like, oh, this is literally like the path of how you move from taking dance classes in a studio, which you might have friends that do with their daughters, but literally like the competition world and going to conventions after watching Pro Action dance all over social media over the weekend.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So like before making a team, is that literally just the dance world that you go to different dance conventions like that and pick up a bunch of choreography from top choreographers? Is that what I was kind of hearing as like, ish?
Obviously everyone's dance path is a little different, but that's my dance school that I grew up in. We went to, some studios do like 7 competition and conventions a year. My studio did 1 a year. And it was always a great one. We would do like Jump Dance Convention or NYCDA, New York City Dance Alliance, or L Magic. And yes, it's basically a weekend of dance. Major choreographers and dancers from all over come in and teach basically master classes all weekend, and you get to learn from them. And then at night, we'll usually bring in some dances for competition purposes, and you like compete your numbers, and you get, awards from it, and you can do like a little audition for scholarships to go to the national convention, like all that fun stuff. Oh. So that was my experience. Again, some girls did, more extravagant things, and some, everyone's, I guess, training experience is a little different, but that was mine, what I grew up in.
Okay. Super cool.
And then, those conventions are a little different from like your UDA dance camps that you would do if you were on the dance team in high school or, in junior high and whatnot. So I got a little bit of everything, I think. I got a little variety, I guess.
Well, and then jumping forward, Tiger Girls, do they wear the white gloves?
Golden Girls, LSU Golden Girls.
We danced with a girl that was a Golden Girl, and she said it was like way more intense than any kind of NFL experience. It was like super strict.
Wait, who? Can you tell me who?
Do you know Hope Heasley?
Yes. Oh my God, I love Hope.
Yes. So she was like Golden Girl, her ultimate.
Yeah. And she was like the ideal, like perfect Golden Girl. I remember watching her and being like, she's so beautiful. We got to Golden Girls and Tiger Girls my junior year in college. We got to go to Hong Kong to dance in the Chinese New Year parade. And so that was the first time that we had danced together, because we're separate dance teams. Like Golden Girls, they dance on the football field. They dance with the band, and they've been around for over 50 years. So they're very traditional. And Tiger Girls, at this point, maybe, I can't remember, maybe 20 years, don't quote me on that. But, a little bit newer than the Golden Girls and more of a hip hop base versus, and basketball games and whatnot. So very different dance teams, but that was the year that we actually got to dance together. And so that's when I got to know Hope a little bit more, because we were in Hong Kong together. But yeah.
Thanks for the clarification, because I was like, I think it's the same school, but I'm not sure. So
oh yeah, same school, but different dance teams.
Well, digging deeper into, so we got to college a little bit. You said your decision for DCC was not quite planned?
No. Okay. So let's see, at LSU, another fun fact about Tiger Girls I should probably have mentioned in the beginning. 2010, we won the Hip Hop National Championship. So got a little championship ring that I don't wear often because I don't want to lose it. But got one of those. That was fun. A wonderful time for the team. Let's see. My senior year at LSU, I had an internship in the athletic department. I was in the sports information department. I was like, I'm going to write for LSU athletics. That is what I'm going to do. That's my thing. Kind of still want to dance, but don't really know like what avenue to take. And the captain of Tiger Girls at the time was auditioning for Cowboys Cheerleaders. And I was like, oh, that's perfect for her. That's amazing. But I didn't think of it as like, I'm going to go do that too, And so she was like, well, why don't you come with me? It could be really fun. And we could, go into this journey together and whatnot. And I was like, I don't have anything to lose. I don't have a job lined up. I know what I want to do, but like, it's not set in stone yet. So, what's the worst that could happen? I could get cut and go back to figuring out what I'm doing with my life. So I went with her to Dallas, and we went through the audition process. I'm sure you all know, but prelims, it's very much how it is on the show. You have your preliminary auditions. That's the scariest thing of your life because, and like, again, I didn't know, I'd seen the show, and I remember watching the show and be like, I don't know if I could do that. That's really intense. That's kind of scary. I don't like being in front of the camera anyways. Like, there were so many reasons why I was like, I don't think I could do that. And then there I was doing it. Yeah, it's really scary because there's hundreds of girls there, all beautiful and glam, and like they're warming up their technique and their turns and their freestyle and all this stuff, and you're just like, I don't know what's happening. But okay, I say I wasn't prepared. I was prepared. I did have like a freestyle practice in my head in case I went blank. So I did have that. I knew I needed to be equipped with that. So went to the prelims, got through that round. The next day was semifinals, where you learn the choreography and then do it in groups of 5. Like 4 times through, and I
heard about that part. That's like really hard. Like the choreography itself may not be super crazy, but doing it 4 times in a row, test your stamina on a whole other level.
Oh my god, the 4 times like you blank out. You don't know how you get through it. You're just like, oh, we did it.
There's groups of 4, so they want to watch each girl one time.
We do it twice, and then we switch lines. So whoever's in the back window comes forward, and then do it twice again. Now, again, I haven't done this process since 2012, so it may be different, but I'm pretty sure it's still the same 4 times through, and it's still as exhausting. And then after that, you do the kick line. So the kick, actually, I lied. 4 times is a doozy, but the kick line, you black out.
Oh, no, and that's what they're known for, so it's kind of like you definitely can't mess that up.
No.
You cannot, and your legs feel like Jell-O after, but you know what? It was it was a fun experience. I love learning choreography and like, you know, I love performing. So like I really enjoyed the semifinals round, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna show them what I got, and if they want it, yay. If they don't, this was an amazing experience, you know, because I didn't know what I was getting into, and I soaked it all in, and it was kind of like, it was bigger and better than, you know, what they show on TV.
Because the TV show, I think, drags out so long, you know, over weeks or whatever. Just the prelim round and like the semifinals, especially when people are traveling out of state into the area for the auditions process, like, is it kind of packed into a weekend, or is it literally like you're kind of held hostage in Dallas because you're trying to just wait to see like how far you make it to the next round? I've always been curious, like, how compressed it actually is or isn't.
It's different every year. The dates are kind of different. So my first year going through the process, prelims and semis were the same weekend. So prelims were Saturday, semis were Sunday.
Okay.
And then they made the cut and let you know who made it to finals. A week had gone by, and then the following week I came back for finals.
Got you. And training camp, they're holding you not hostage, but why am I so hostile?
And then training camp is pretty much the summer. Yeah, it's all summer.
Oh, the whole summer. So that's
again, the dates have been different. Like my first year, we didn't find out we made the team until like mid-August. That was a long training camp. I don't think it's been like that since.
And so you pick up your life, and granted you didn't have a job lined up yet, but you're basically having to, what were you doing to kind of sustain yourself during that time while you were auditioning?
I was blessed in that my dad said, I will help you through the summer.
Okay.
And then we're going to figure this out. If you make the team, then obviously you need a good job. But right now, until you know.
Right.
Because if I didn't make it, I wasn't going to stay in Dallas. You know, like I had no other reason outside of this audition to be in Dallas. So I was going to probably go back to Baton Rouge and figure it out. So I was blessed to have that. I know not a lot of women don't have that. So I'm grateful that I did.
Yeah. And I think you had an amazing mindset going into it too, because it's kind of like, I'm just going to show what I have and kind of cross my fingers, but also like you're super talented. So you have, you know, a really great background in dance, but you know, some girls come every year for, I don't even know how long of a stretch of a time, and they don't make it very far. But I think just kind of your confidence in that I'm just going to give it a shot is really cool.
Thanks. I mean, I feel weird saying it's confidence. It was more so like, I'm just going to try it and see what happens, you know, and just have fun with it and do my best. But it's funny because I always joke, the auditions after my first year were way harder for me mentally, because at that point, you know what you have to lose. You know, you've done it, and they know what you're capable of doing, and you want to, you know, come back the next year better and better and better. So like everyone's like, the first year is the hardest. So I was like, well, for me, the first year was my easiest. The second, third, and fourth was when I really like knew what was going on and knew what was at stake. So that was a lot harder, and my confidence level was not as high those following years. But I missed my college graduation for interviews. So that was
what?
Exactly. Happy.
Yeah, I would. I'd miss it. Sorry.
I mean, what do you do? Like, what do you do?
I'm trying to process that. Why?
Well, because that's why I keep trying to think of the time. I'm pretty sure there was a week because I had finals. When I got back from the semis, I had to go back and do finals week. And then graduation, I did not walk in it because the same day, interviews were that Friday, and my graduation was Friday morning. And so I just had them mail me my diploma and went and did my interview. And then
you made it.
My family was like, we bought this, and this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all, but like, I don't know if I make this. Y'all got tickets or something. I don't know. I'll pay you back somehow.
I didn't even want to walk at my graduation. Like, I thought it was boring. I mean,
it was one of those things that like, sometimes I'm like, I wish I would have had that, you know, moment. But at the same time, it was worth it.
Yeah, you made the team.
I was about to say, I mean, it's a hell of an accomplishment, and
both are.
Yeah, huge. So what did you study?
Mass communication.
Okay.
My concentration was print journalism.
We'll get into that too, because that's, I think you have a beautiful balance of what you went to school for and what you've been trained in your whole life, and just pursuing like all of your passions in one life. I just think is amazing.
Thank you. That was always my goal, despite what, because you know how, especially the two passions that I chose, writing and dance, a lot of times people view both as like not a real job. And I've been like not committed, but I've always wanted to make it a real job. Like, I'm going to make a career out of dancing and writing. And sometimes that path doesn't look super clear. You're like, I have no idea how I'm going to make this work. But that's always been my goal.
While we're on the topic, we might as well just talk about it because you caught my eye particularly. Well, you'd already caught my eye from being on the team. But when a lot of the articles were coming out last year that kind of inspired starting this podcast of, NFL cheerleaders should be banned. What's the use of them anyway? And I came across your blog post about, is that really the answer? And I was just so super impressed with how you articulated your points and just kind of saying lots of things that were obviously swirling around in my head. I think this was when we were preparing for our season finale for our first season. And I was like, I'm going to find every stupid article that's talking about banning female cheerleaders. And so when I saw, so many of them, I printed them all out. And then I came across yours, and it was such a breath of fresh air. I was just so excited to see a dancer writing, sharing that perspective as a dancer. And so what inspired you to, one, write that article, and then just how you balance your career as a writer?
So I've been in the world. I was an NFL cheerleader for 4 years. And my experience I loved my experience. I had more highs than lows, I got the opportunity to do so many things, travel to places I never thought I would travel. And sure, I may have done it in a crop top, but I don't think it defines, who I was as a cheerleader or what I did as a cheerleader. And so I get really, long story short, I get aggravated with ignorance, okay? That really sums it up.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that was being written at the time and is still being written is ignorance, especially from a writer's standpoint. If you're going to write about something, do your due diligence.
Yes.
And, do a little bit of research on it. Know your facts. Know, I don't know, maybe both sides of it before you, just spit out some stuff that
nonsense.
Is ignorant. Because 90% of the time I try to present, a balanced side. And I do like to share my opinion, but I also like to share the opinions of others too. But my thing is, there was one article, I think you guys, y'all talked to the person that wrote it.
Oh, yeah. Our buddy. I forgot his name already, but him.
Yes, I don't appreciate when things are written from a one-sided standpoint, and I don't appreciate when things are said, but not the full facts are being said. So I guess I'll start with the current trend that we're seeing in the NBA, and then y'all said going into the NHL as well. The whole is sexist just to have a female dance team, I think is what is being said, and you want to be inclusive. And my thing with that is I'm all about being inclusive, bring them in onto the team if they have the talent, not just because they're men, because that's sexist. So you can't toe the line of what's sexist and what's not. You got to look at the total picture and be fair. And so bring them on if they have the talent. I don't see a need to eliminate for inclusion. You don't have to get rid of dance teams or female dance teams or cheerleaders or whatever just so you can bring a co-ed hip-hop team in. You can literally keep the dance team, bring the guys in, and start doing some hip-hop dances that incorporate the guys' tricks or whatever their skills are and highlights the girls, and everyone is happy. And literally that's the job of an artistic director and a choreographer, to be able to make performances that highlight the skills of both the men and the women. Mm-hmm. So I just feel all the nonsense about having to do, I won't say nonsense. It's nonsense. Having to do away with dance teams for inclusion, I feel it's just an excuse. It's not the real reason why they're doing away with it. And I think because of some of the lawsuits that have come out, obviously, and the sexual harassment things, which understand the need to want to protect your brand and whatnot, but you shouldn't punish women for men and some women not knowing how to act. That sends the wrong message because the dancers aren't doing anything wrong. Last time I checked, me dancing in a crop top and shorts, I was doing that in freaking high school at conventions. I was doing it in junior high. It was never about what I was wearing. It's about what I was doing in my art, in my dance. And that's no different whether I'm in a football field, on an NBA court, it shouldn't matter what we're wearing. If some men are not mature enough to be able to handle that, that's their problem, not the dancer's problem. So don't punish the problem because you're sending the wrong message. And trying to equate that to the Me Too movement, I think is super backwards because if anything,
ridiculous.
Yes. When I heard that, I was like, wait, but how? I feel like you're hustling backwards with that statement. That doesn't make sense. So I could go on and on and on and on and on. And
No,
on
I
about
love
this
it. It's
with days.
just,
As you can see, I get so passionate about it because
Yeah.
I just
you guys are twins, I think.
Huh?
Both got the
I said, you
bun.
two are twins. I swear to God.
Well, it's nice to just hear. I think it'll be great for listeners to hear, besides us, probably more me fussing about all of this, just different articulations of a similar point, right? Because everybody's experience is different. I mean, I wouldn't even have thought of the comparison of like what dancers wear all throughout their lives of performing.
Literally, there are dance companies. People are nude. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, what are we?
Why
Why
is
is
about
this?
the art? That's what it should be about.
It
And I
should-
will say, okay, a few points that I didn't make. Some people say, well, the choreography is hypersexualized. Fair. That could be, very well. But I feel like choreographers and artistic directors can maybe tone it down a little bit if they want to. I'm not saying you should. If that's like in a complaint from the higher up, tone it down a little bit and make your dances more dynamic. Focus more on technique or like the dance ability and less on twerking. I don't know. Just if that's an argument, it doesn't have to be, all right, well, let's eliminate them. It could literally just be a phone call.
They could have made adjustments versus total
Right.
elimination,
Instead of
abolishing,
total elimination.
the whole
Yeah.
program.
The other part is, I think, in a lot of the people that have written these ignorant articles, forget that it's about the art of dance too. Like, yes, we might be in whatever, but you're not looking at the pictures that we're creating when we're dancing. You don't see the formation changes. You don't see the leaps, the turns. You might see the 2 seconds of twerking if that, but you're not noticing, the other things. And so I don't think it's fair that when we turn to the co-ed hip hop teams, you're taking away opportunities for a lot of dancers. Opportunities for dance is already limited as it is. But like, what if you have a bomb technician jazz dancer who wants to perform and wants to dance, and now you just have a co-ed hip hop team? It's just limiting opportunities for other dancers instead of finding a way to do it all. I don't see why you can't do it all. You have, especially NBA teams, you have how many games in a season? You can't throw in some hip hop dances with some tricks with the guys and then a couple of jazz dances for the girls with the guys. Like, there's ways. And I feel like that needs to be voiced a lot more. And I know I was talking to a couple of girls. I know talking about it now is not going to bring back the teams that have disbanded, but you never know if it could spark some change in teams that are considering it or what could happen going forward. And I think that's what's important, is having the conversation and pointing out those adjustments that can be made versus, well, let's get rid of them.
And there are teams that are successfully doing just that, where they added a male hip hop focused crew and they left their female dance teams untouched, and they are having games where they perform together, and there's ways of doing it. And I think what burns me up the most each time these announcements come out is they'll use the terminology around inclusiveness. And it's like, how do you even say that word when you didn't include any of the women who are impacted by your decision? Like, you made this behind closed doors, you kept it a secret, you knew damn well that this is what you were going to do, and you didn't tell anybody anything so that they could prepare and audition for other teams, move, do whatever they need to do. So it's just such a complete
disrespectful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. From a writer's perspective, I had I guess a question, because when that idiot wrote, he asked a lot of questions, and I'm trying to be more open-minded to the education of those who are less informed.
Because when you were talking to him, he was a lot nicer than his article.
He was. I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be like, let's go at 4:00 in the morning. And I was happy that I was quickly able to make the adjustment and not just try to blast him like I felt his article blasted us. But because of like the culture of silence, where unfortunately when you're part of a team or you're, looking for dance opportunities, a lot of people are reluctant to have their name kind of associated with shaming an organization or speaking out too much because they're just fear of whatever that comes with it, that it is really hard to, in terms of them doing their due diligence, get a clear picture of what they're talking about. And so that was another thing that kind of spurred the podcast starting, is just that they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. These reporters are like struggling to find cheerleaders who are willing to talk to them. And so they don't even really get the clear picture of what's happening. And so do you find that, I'm just glad that you found a voice, obviously, to, not have any fear of sharing what your thoughts were on the topic, and just how you kind of approach that, especially, I would think there are some limitations when we're on a team that you might have been subject to when you were on DCC. How did you balance that I know you had retired, I think, when you had written the article, but.
Right, I was retired. So I mean, yeah, that's it. That part of the reason.
Yeah.
I have no restrictions at this point. So I came across that when I've been like trying to sort through all the nonsense in my head and trying to figure out what I want to say about, you know, what's going on right now. And I've talked to a lot of women, and a lot of them are like, I just wanted to tell you my point of view, but I don't want you to use it because, you know, I don't want it to ruin any opportunities that I might have, you know, later, which 1000% understand and respect. And I had a moment where I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't, you know, I don't want to jeopardize anyone's future.
Right.
And then, so I go back and forth between my, you know, trained journalistic practices and then like the blog lifestyle, where like you don't really have rules in the blog life. Granted, that guy's words were like on a legit publication, but it was more columns, so he could have whatever tone he wanted. He could spit whatever, you know, opinion he wanted, which he could do that. And so I think from a blogger standpoint, if I were to write something, I could still use their stories under a different name, under a, you know, and I may not say what team, or, you know, there's ways to get the voices out without jeopardizing their future, which I think is super important. I just wish that that fear wasn't there. There wasn't a, you get reprimanded for speaking your truth. You get reprimanded for speaking facts and calling out people on their BS. You know, like I feel bad that that's the culture that we have to deal with, but at the same time, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know how to change that, you know, because it all starts up there. Right. So like there's ways to get the voices out there. It's just, it takes away from the credibility of it all and like all of that. And that's what I struggle with. But I do wish that it weren't, you get a slap on the wrist for speaking truth.
Now I'm like a couple years removed from retiring, so I think I just get louder and bolder by the day. But I think, and I try to be respectful because we know what it was like when we were on a team.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to make any of the listeners feel like I've, you know, lost touch with that reality. But I just think if we're waiting for like a green light and a safe space to make us feel comfortable speaking our truth, we shouldn't wait for that. I just feel like finding that freedom of your voice is a very personal decision, and you're not asking for permission to do it. I guess I get really like Pollyanna-ish, where I imagine a space where we all decide we're just going to say what the hell we think, and kind of like just dispelling that myth that there's a real legitimate fear of I'm going to be like slapped on the wrist. And I know that it's tricky and it's dicey, but I'm with you. Like, I wish that fear didn't exist, because I think it's it's just such a falsehood that you can't be who you are, have a mind, say what you think, especially when it's grounded in truth. Like, it's not like we're just fabricating these wild, crazy stories of what horrible lives we have as dancers. It's just legitimate criticisms of conditions that should change for valid reasons. And I struggle with that because I just want to scream, and it's just nice to hear other people kind of voice all the stuff that goes on in here. But it's something I hope everybody on their own time, whether it's after retirement or whatever, as long as you start to feel more secure in using that voice, because it makes a difference. And they can't like fire all of us. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind. But anyway, it's my Mhkeeba's revolution.
And that thing, and there's
my fantasies that will not probably happen, but.
And I struggle because like I get both sides. I get like at the end of the day they have a brand to obtain it, you know, and words can be misconstrued. You can chop and literally people can chop and screw your words, whether it's written or, you know, said vocally. So like I understand it might be on the NFL team or NBA or whatever athletic teams trying to protect their brand, but at the same time I think there shouldn't be a fear there, you know, and there should be some respect that, okay, I respect my dancer or my cheerleader or whatever, and trust that she will speak and carry herself in a way that we'll be proud of. I will say that after the story that I put about getting rid of the NFL teams, I got a lot of positive feedback from current cheerleaders, former cheerleaders, current directors, former directors. So, you know, like that made me feel good because I feel like, okay, well, maybe, you know, we're going in that direction, you know, and maybe this is okay. So.
Yeah, because you probably said things that a lot of people feel and think. And so I was just curious from your standpoint as a writer, if you were balancing how much to say versus not, especially in trying to share other stories. But
right.
So you write as well as dance. You're still currently writing, is that right?
Yeah, I'll say on a freelance basis. So freelance wise, it's sometimes busy, and sometimes like, okay, he wants me to write for this. But But when I was on the team, so my first year I interned with D Magazine in Dallas. And then my second year I was hired on as a staff writer for their sister company, a newspaper. And that was my first time understanding, balancing being a DCC, because I was on show group also. And so, you know, with show group, you're traveling here, there, and everywhere, and you still have your games, and you have extra practices. And then, you know, I have to be in the office, whatever. Actually, hours were pretty flexible, but I had to be in there. They had to at least see me. And we would have 3 stories due a week, and I had to, you know, do my interviews and like get everything set up, deal with my editor, all that fun stuff. And there was one week, y'all, it all came to like, it just blew up all in my face.
No.
We were and when they hired me, I told them, I was like, look, I mean, my schedule's kind of all over the place. No 2 weeks look the same. We do my best to let you know, my especially during training camp, I'll do my best to let y'all know what my week looks like, and I'll work around it. I'll, get my interviews done. I got this. And they're like, all right, you got this. And so I did a good job of letting them know things, but there was one week that during training camp, we had to go to Harrisburg for show group to perform in a baseball game. And so that was the week, this might be incorrect, but let's say it was a Monday to a Wednesday that we were in Harrisburg, and we'd get back Wednesday night and then leave Friday to go to Oxnard for training camp kickoff. We're going that weekend. And so my deadline is Thursday.
Of course.
And so I'm in Harrisburg, and they know that I was like, I'll get back on Wednesday. I'll be in the office on Thursday, but I have to peace out again Friday afternoon. So I'll get my story in sometime in that window. I'm going to get my interviews checked, and I'll actually have a phone interview. So I can get my phone interview done Wednesday when I get home. Like, it's going to be fine.
Really?
And our flight got canceled from Harrisburg Wednesday. And so I didn't get back in.
Sorry, my face just broke.
And so Thursday night, and we had a Friday, like at 1:00, be at the airport for Oxnard. And y'all, it felt like Mercury in retro. Like, that was the worst feeling of my life, because I was like, I have nothing. I don't have a story. I don't have any. What can I do? I was like, I'm fired. And I basically had to ask for permission to, like, I don't know, get a little extension, and like he rearranged some stories. But long story short, I was laid off.
Oh no, you were. She's laughing.
Because we're like, no.
I was like, honestly, can't blame you. But the good thing that came out of that was he moved me to freelance basis. So I still had, I had a little bit more flexibility. I didn't have to come into the office. I still had a very similar story load, but he didn't have to see me on a regular basis, and I was on my own for most of the things. So that was my first taste of the freelance writing life, and that's how I learned how to be a freelance writer and kind of juggle things from there with DCC and dance and all that fun stuff. So, but yeah.
Oh. But I mean, I love hearing the struggle, just because I think we interview such amazing people that have these like amazing careers and backgrounds, and then you almost seem like superhuman, and that like things like this wouldn't happen, and what you're able to take away from that. I think it's helpful to hear, because there are a lot of the input that we get from listeners is just like, how do you balance it all? And I think sometimes you just get so caught up, or you're spread so thin that you feel like you suck at everything, and like you don't have time to practice, so therefore you mess up in practice and you feel like a loser. Right. And there's so much that can start coming in, and
especially with DCC, I feel like you guys are the epitome of perfection 24/7. Like personally, I've never seen a mess up ever, honestly.
I've never even looked on YouTube either, but it's like you would never see. Like,
it's a magic. It's like Disneyland of the NFL,
I'm
right?
really happy I'll feel that way.
It's true.
I'll tell you all about an epic mess up that I did later.
Walk and talk.
Oh God, yeah, I'm saving it for that.
Okay.
What you see on the outside and what's happening on the inside obviously are completely different things. So like I might look like I have it all together, but the amount of stories I have of me not having it together are more than the ones of me having it together. So, but I mean, I think those moments help you maneuver it and figure it out and learn, and help you get one step closer to having it together,
Yeah, for sure. And it's part of the growth. That's why I think that professional cheerleaders and dancers are like superhumans in their own right, because what you're putting your body through that's completely separate from just like normal life. If you're a parent or if you can have so many things going on, and just that fuel and passion for loving what you do somehow carries you through.
Literally. Yeah.
Literally.
I mean, also at the time that situation happened, I was like 22. So like the person I was then and the person I am now, whoa, completely different girls, women, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a fun time. But so now to this day, I've worked my way through different publications, freelancing, and right now I have a little blog that I've been using as my writing outlet until my next writing job comes along. So that's been fun because I've just been kind of using it to, one is therapy because I've been dealing with like mental wellness stuff. So one, therapeutic to like journal all the stuff that's going on in your head, but kind of embracing the whole vulnerability thing by putting it out there for other people to see. But also always think you never know. And that's what I love about writing and sharing stories is you never know whose story or if your story will impact somebody else, or, you know, reading it will help another person see something differently. And so that was the whole reason why I was like, you know what, I'm going to use this little blog as my outlet to, one, share what's going on up here in my head and share my own stories, but also anyone else who wants to have their story told, I can share it through there too, and it could impact someone else, and that's really what matters. So
yeah, and we're definitely going to link that below. I thought it was a really cool one. The site itself is really cool, but I love the inspirational quotes that are there, and just kind of, I was like, I need to spend more time here. It's like an uplifting, just an inspirational place to kind of have all of those different thoughts and mantras, if you will. It's almost like a Pinterest board of
positivity.
Yeah, exactly. So we will share that so people can take a look. You have quite a very impressive website because it includes everything, your bio and your foundation that I'm definitely hoping we can speak to as well. Do you want to think more about DCC? I know there's like so much, but I also want to make sure I'm the chatty patty. Where are we on time? We're good. Okay.
I wanted to ask, like, so you were a Rockette, or you've been a Rockette. So can you compare that with DCC? Does it seem like maybe people respect you more when you're a Rockette versus DCC because of the climate of what's going on?
You know, that's a good question, because I feel like, well, one, no, I can't compare the two because completely different styles. I think one of the main similarities is the reputation. They both have, like, in their own right, like DCC is like the pinnacle, Radio City.
They're iconic, both of them.
So like, they both have that iconic reputation, which huge honor to be a part of, first of all. So that's the only comparison that I really have for the two. I think it's interesting that Rockettes haven't gotten the kind of, I mean, I guess we're a lot more, I don't want to say covered up, but I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that one. Because I've often wondered that, but
I think people would literally freak out if Rockettes was like, hey, we're not going to do it anymore. That is like the longest standing dance tradition I've
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the precision-based dance company in like the world, the nation. Iconic tradition, Macy's Parade, you know, the Christmas Spectacular at Radio City Music Hall. So like, I feel like NFL cheerleaders and NBA dancers have such a negative connotation associated with, no matter how talented the dancers are. Because, like, again, I was a DCC and I've been a Rockette. Like, same talent, you know, the talent is there. I think it's just I don't know.
The perception.
Recently, though, I don't think it was always like that for NFL cheerleading, but recently there's been a negative connotation associated with it. That's such a good question, though. And the other thing is, I will say, when I say I'm a former DCC, like, people are respecting me for being a DCC. You know, they don't get the, oh, how did you feel? Oh, blah, blah, blah. You know, those questions. I get like, oh, wow. What was that experience like for you? Did you love it? Did you enjoy it? What kind of stuff did you get to do? So, like, there's still that respect there. But, like, once you point out that, you know, oh, wait, NFL cheerleading, all the stuff that's going on with it. Oh, well, you know, then the negative connotation comes out.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because
it is.
We look back at our time, even in discussing like our first season, like all the hot topics of like crap that happens, right, when you're on a team, or just from our perspective of having lived it. And it wasn't all bad, but we talk about the good, bad, and ugly. But it's still such a special time in my life, those 5 years, and something I look back on very, very fondly. And it didn't until like the last couple of years, like there was, I mean, the worst we'd hear is like, do you get paid? And, you know.
It's because you quit.
Right.
I know. I quit and everything went to shit.
But I seriously do think that shift has happened in the last couple of years, because I don't think it was always and
Yeah.
so
Well, so inform people who don't know, like me. I haven't been able to go to a Rockettes show, but how many women are on the? I'm just trying to think of like the visibility of being a DCC or NFL cheerleader versus a Rockettes dancer. Do you get that people know you individually as a Rockette, or is it kind of like you're just one big company and there aren't like names or individuals associated with each member of the team? Or do you even call it a team? I don't know.
So in the company total, there's 80. There's two casts.
80.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have two casts, 40 and 40, 36 on stage with 4 swings. And it's funny you asked that question, because if literally walk into Radio City before a show, do I get stopped in the street like, oh my God, Rockette? No, probably because I look like a scrub, but no, I don't get recognized, but once you're in costume and you're like, oh my gosh, she's a Rockette, not Rockette Jacie, but a Rockette, So when we do interviews and stuff, well, yes, obviously we use our name and like we have that individuality with us, but when we're in costume and on stage and performing, we are a unit, which I think is pretty cool and in essence. But yeah, I think we are very proud to be individuals from all different backgrounds. Like we do have a very diverse line contrary to what people may see, but girls from all backgrounds, different ages, moms, single ladies, and there's a range of women making up so many different pictures in a show and like doing it all together. Like we're obviously famous for precision, so we look like one unit moving across stage. And like even when we do the parade of the wooden soldiers fall and we all have each other's back as we fall down in slow motion, all of that is so empowering, when you think about it, to think that so many individuals can make up one beautiful picture and hold each other's back in a wooden soldier line, and like all that goes into it. Work so hard to make a 90-minute show come alive around Christmas time. So I think that's
compared to the DCC kick line with Rockettes, because you guys don't touch each other on Rockettes.
We don't touch.
You don't touch.
That is something that people don't know that. I mean, if you watch, like, they post it on Instagram and like social media, YouTube videos and stuff like that. So if you keep up with it, you would know. But a lot of people don't realize that, and it is hard.
I bet.
Because, I mean, when you're hooked up, if you get a little tired, press it. Like, you're not supposed to do that, but
people do it though.
Whereas with this, you are on your own, girlfriend. Like, you have to hold your own. We don't touch each other. It is what it is.
And you guys did on DCC, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's like normal. Yeah, I was like, maybe
that's normal.
They're magical.
I remember when I found out the Rockettes didn't touch each other. I was like, but like, so how?
That's so crazy.
But it's all core strength. Like, I feel like I'm at my strongest during the season because like my arms are ripped, because I mean, your back is engaged and your abs are, because you are working so hard to maintain, and the kicks are fast. And yes, they might be eye level, but I feel like it's a lot harder to control getting to eye level and snapping it back down in like 0.01 seconds. It might not be that fast, but it feels like that, like, so it takes a lot of strength in your core and in your legs and, all of it. And to do it without shifting the line, you want to stay in one line. Oh my gosh,
that's right. Wait. It's bad enough that you're not connecting and hooking up, but you would think that just creates a lot more chance of you moving around, turning your kick line into a hot mess where people just kind of like start adjusting their body because they're not controlling their, exactly what you said. So, that's she's like, challenge.
Brutal. And it's noticeable if you step out of line. And they notice it too. So, I mean, we have on the stage like a grid system, so you have numbers and lines to help keep or maintain strong straight lines, but still on that fourth show of the day, it's real hard.
Whoa, can you talk us through that? What your commitment is? 4 games a day?
We have like
games. I said 4 games. Sorry, 4 shows a day.
I mean, it feels like it, but so we have up to 16, 17 shows in a week, and our biggest load, I think, is a 4-show day. So you can do up to 4 shows in a day. At one point, they did 5, and I was like, how. But yes, 4 shows in a day is like the most that we did last season.
So what is the season? Because it seems like it's, it's seasonal, truly. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
do you start in May, August, or?
September through January.
Okay.
Maybe October, January. Depends on when rehearsals start. But we have the month of October, so 6 weeks worth of rehearsing. So that's 6 hours a day, 6 days a week until you get to tech rehearsals. And that goes up to like 9 hours. And then shows start early to mid-November and run through January.
And you've been commuting.
Last year I did the full year in New York. The year before that, I was in Dallas and then spent the season in New York and then came back to Dallas and then moved to New York and then stayed through the year and then came back here.
Wow.
Whoa.
And then in terms of like Rockettes, is there a look or like did you have to learn how to apply makeup like a Rockette versus an NFL cheerleader?
The main like look, red lip, French twist.
Okay.
And so like I had to get the right red lip. I'm not now I am, but I was not a red lip girl. And it took me a while to find the red lip that like worked on me, and it's Sephora No. 1.
What? I was gonna say share it with the listeners.
The lip stain, that's my groove. It works. And it honestly a lot of girls wear it, and I was like, who told me to get it? One of the girls, and we don't look, blonde hair, whatever. I was like, that's not gonna work on my skin, girl. It's not gonna happen. And then I put it on and I was like, it works. This is it. This is the one.
Awesome.
And so, yeah. And I think for me, so the makeup was fine. And I think I got a lot of practice with DCC, fine-tune my makeup. Literally, I do the same thing except I add a red lip. So, and, well, yeah, I wore lashes then too. So, yeah, eyelashes, red lip, liner, blush, whatever. And setting spray because we sweat a lot. And then the thing that I had to figure out too, especially with I'd just gone natural too. Well, not just gone, but like I was a year into my natural hair. And putting that into a French twist, I was like, how do you do it? I don't understand.
Help! You don't have hair back there in the dressing room?
No, we do it. We do it all. Like we do our hair and makeup for every show. And so I had one of the other BG Rockettes. I was like, hey girl, so how do you do your French twist? And she showed me how to do it. And yeah, and I literally do it like that every single time. There was one, we had like I'm trying to think, it was a lot of shows back to back. I think we had like 3 shows on like a Friday, and the last show being, it was my first year, last show being like at 10:30 or something like that. And the next day I had to be there for like 1 or 2 or whatever. I slept in my French twist. And
yeah, why wouldn't you?
We joke about having like, a second show twist or a 3-show twist or whatever. And I was like, y'all, this baby's a 5-show twist.
Oh, wow. Broke the record.
Like, you did not sleep in that. And I was like, I sure did. And she's doing just fine. Just slap a little gel on that. And because, the other thing is, yes, you want your French twist to look good, but it has to fit under all the hats that we wear and, like, all those things. God, so all the costume changes. And, yeah. So I was like, as long as I don't have wispies and the pins are in there, I'm good.
That's intense. That's really intense. So what was harder, DCC or Rockettes?
I always get that question. And it's always it's so hard to compare. Because there's so many different elements. I think on the body, Rockettes, because with DCC you have 10 games in a season. Each cast at like 100 shows. And so like that kind of is harder on the body physically. So when you look at it from that standpoint, that's what I'll say. Physically, I'd be exhausted come January.
Right.
Because, yeah, you go, 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 go.
Shorter season, 10 times the
amount of dances. That's crazy.
I had it with 10. I was like, I'm over it.
Yeah. You have 1 day off from October through January. Or 1 day off a week.
And that's holiday season, Is your family suffering?
I'm kidding. No, because they have an opportunity to come to New York, and they're like, hey, my first year, I was dancing all Thanksgiving. I had 4 shows on Thanksgiving Day, so it didn't hit me. The last year, I had off on Thanksgiving Day. So I was just like, well, luckily my boyfriend came up, and he, helped with that. But I was just like, kind of miss the family this year because I'm not doing anything, you know? Yeah. But the last 2 years, my family came up close enough to Christmas time to where we kind of had like a, you know, and Christmas in New York that's fun.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So, yeah, but of course you miss out on like your family traditions and stuff like that.
And I would imagine that DCC's time commitment was pretty intense as well with, you know, obviously show group responsibility and touring and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What a packed life. Gee whiz. I mean, you went from obviously a very packed schedule with DCC to an even more packed schedule with this. So you look vibrant and lively and
I feel decrepit. No, I'm kidding. I don't feel that.
No, I mean, I would be looking hot. No. The off season for me, I would be looking like a whole different other person because it just
my retirement life is a hot mess. Jeez Louise.
Oh my gosh.
And I want to backtrack for a second because I'm not saying DCC is easy because DCC is hard.
I bet, no.
But I also think my age has factored into physicality being a lot harder, you know? Like when I was on DCC, I was 21 to 24. I'm like pushing 28 doing, you know, whatever. So I do think in that sense that made it a little bit harder too. But yeah, I'm not saying DCC is not hard because it 1000% is, but physically for me, I guess that's hard.
Yeah. And it's a different time, like you said, in your life. So I definitely noticed that. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm reaching 30. What's happening? But
my body's starting to feel like grandma. And I'm like, wait, no. We have things to do.
Right.
I'm not ready for that yet. I'm still trying to move.
That's awesome. Don't ever stop.
Have you ever taught classes at all?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I've been doing a lot of teaching this summer, actually. I've been teaching master classes and doing choreography and all that fun stuff, which for a while I kind of shied away from it because I always had this like stigma that once you start teaching, you're going to stop performing. And I don't know who told me that. I don't know what put that in my head, but that was always my thing. So I was like, nope, I'm not going to teach because I'm not trying to stop performing yet. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? You're an idiot. You can do both. You can teach and you can still perform. It's okay. So I remember I was in a ballet class in Dallas not long ago. And this woman, she's, you know, I'd say she was like in her 60s and she was taking class next to me and she was doing really good. And I was like, oh, I want to be her when I grow up. And at the end, I went up to her and I was like, I just want you to know that I was having a moment where as I got older, I was like, I feel like it's, you know, I guess I need to stop because that's what you're supposed to do. And she was like, oh, honey, no, I'm still performing. I have a performance on Sunday if you want to come. I dance with the company in Austin. And I was like, what?
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And I was like, no, literally, I'm going to be you. So, like, I hate when people feel like, and I mean, I was that person too. So, but like, you get to a certain age and you're like, oh, well, I guess I can't perform anymore. I need to stop dancing. I'm like, if you don't want it, why are you stopping? You know, if you want to continue to perform, continue to seek those opportunities. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't, unless physically something's telling you can't, then that's a different story. But like, if mentally you're like, I guess now it's time and you don't want to, then keep going, girl. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to tell myself. That was also a message to me.
I love it.
Yeah, and now you're teaching and sharing your obvious talents and perspective with people, which is super encouraging, I think. I mean, we have been so busy, I think, with our little lives, but I don't know if Seattle's changed the last time I looked about like what, you know, adult dance class opportunities that we have locally, but it would be so refreshing just to have people who have your background, like coming through teaching and just, we have to kind of go down to Portland, I think, if we really want to get some adult dance. Yeah, I mean, unless it's here in Seattle and it's just the best kept secret.
Maybe we need to make it.
Yeah, I'd say make it happen.
Yeah.
Like once the opportunity's out there, you'd be surprised how many people would actually like dive into that and take advantage of it. A lot of times people are like, oh, well, it's not here. I guess I can't do it. And it takes one person being like, actually, the door is open. Come on in, you know? So I think that'd be awesome. That's one thing that I've been finding a lot more joy in teaching, and teaching not just kids, but teaching adults too, because we still need to take class. We still need to have those moments to let loose and enjoy. So.
Yeah, and actually learn too for people who
you can never stop learning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My kids this Alvin Ailey dance camp this summer, and there is the modern dance teacher is this like fabulous, like strict, like I just obsessed with him. Like I'm like this every time I go in and watch.
Don't you think he's hot too?
I do think he's hot. I don't think he's looking at me, but he's just, it was just like that thing in my head where I've always imagined like a dance teacher, and he's like smart, sassy, and just kind of all those things. And told my kids to go to class and ask him if he teaches adults, because like I want to take his class so damn bad, and he doesn't teach adults. But I was like, damn it, can we pay you to do one?
There needs to be more adult dance classes. I'm struggling with that, and like since I've been in Baton Rouge, there's not really an adult dance program here, and whereas in Dallas there is, and we're at different places there are. So I feel like that should be more of a thing.
Yeah. Maybe on your horizon.
The Dance Academy of Jacie Scott.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Oh.
Well, you're busy running your foundation. You got to give us something on that.
Never gonna say. I've learned to never say never. So
good.
I'm not gonna say no, but
good.
I could see it. But in the meantime, tell us about the foundation that you started.
Okay, so I started my foundation, Declare Hope, in 2016. It's a foundation dedicated to raising awareness for pancreatic cancer. I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer in 2009. It'll be 10 years. Whoa, it'll be 10 years in September. My whole thing was I wanted to do something to honor her legacy, and for a while I was like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that is, and I was like, well, maybe I should start a foundation and help people become more aware of the disease that took her life, because her story is one that's really extraordinary. Like I don't know if y'all know much about pancreatic cancer. I find that a lot of people like don't even know what the pancreas is, which, to be fair, I was that person too for a little bit. But it's a cancer that it's usually diagnosed in the latter stages because the symptoms are so very vague. Like they can be attributed to anything, like abdominal pain. That could be anything, jaundice, weight loss, like very vague symptoms that people are like, oh wait, I'm on a diet plan, so that could be that or whatever. And so when people are actually diagnosed, it's stage 4. And if you're stage 4, survival it's slim. Like the 5-year survival rate is like 9% right now. So my mom was diagnosed in, I want to say like 94. She was pregnant with my sister when she was diagnosed. So that was a blessing in itself, because tumor and growth with my sister were kind of like battling each other for space. And so she was feeling pain. She was feeling the abdominal pain. I was like, I think something else is happening. And they checked it, found it, did with surgery. After my sister was born, she was in, I won't say remission. They said that it was there and they got what they could out, but it wasn't growing. It wasn't active. And so, or the tumor, it was inactive. And so she continued on in life, and again, just living with pancreatic cancer, but it wasn't growing. It wasn't infecting her. So she had it. I think it started to grow. The tumor started to grow again in, we'll say 2005. Because I found out in 2006. It could have been earlier than that. My parents kept that a secret, which understandably so. But every now and then I'm like, but why though? But I get it. I mean, we were young. And so in 2006 was when she started doing chemo and doing all the things. And in 2009 was when she passed away. And so for her to live 15 or so years with pancreatic cancer is unheard of. Like you don't see that often. And so her story gives me hope, which is how I got Declare Hope. And I want to continue to spread that. And one thing that is my goal for Declare Hope, and we have a couple of projects that we'll be announcing in 2020 that kind of go with this mission, but to be able to, like I said, raise awareness, but also provide services for families and patients. Because one thing that I didn't, and I don't think, maybe we didn't reach out enough, or maybe we didn't really look for it, but I didn't know that there were organizations out there that were dedicated to providing information to families and like resources to them for what to do when this diagnosis happens, or how to process the diagnosis, how to process the, death of your loved one. I didn't know any of those things were there, and I didn't find out until, honestly, I found out about the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. They're like one of the biggest pancreatic cancer organizations, the biggest probably. And the reason I found out about them was I was a cheerleader, and the original director of DCC was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, I think my second or third year on the team.
Oh, wow.
And Pancreatic Cancer Action Network and DCC, they did like a little walk together, or I think it was the Purple Strat event. And that's how I was like, wait, what? there's an organization about this stuff. There's resources for this. I can call someone and get like some pamphlets about this. What? And so that's how I was like, okay, maybe on a smaller scale, like within my community, I can make that kind of an impact. And so that's how my organization came about. And it's always funny because, so we're part of the World Pancreatic Cancer Coalition, which is a coalition of organizations from all over the world that come together and like map out ways that we can further advance the conversation surrounding pancreatic cancer and provide more awareness, because again, it's one of those cancers that no one really talks about. I feel like now, because a lot of celebrities have been recently diagnosed, like Alex Trebek has it, so, and Aretha Franklin passed from it. So now, you know, it's becoming a little bit more out there. But so we get together, the coalition gets together every year to discuss different techniques, methods, advancements in research and medications and all that stuff. And this past year was my second year to go. And I met someone, and, you know, you can either send representatives or you can go whatever. I mean, it's me, so I go. And I introduce myself, and you're networking and whatnot, and finding ways to like connect with other organizations and how they can help you. You can help them, vice versa. And they meet me, and they're always so surprised that I'm not a representative. I'm a founder of an organization. And, you know, like you don't expect 20-something to be, you know, hanging out with, I mean, I'm usually the youngest one there. And my first year going, I thought that was a weakness. And I thought that was, you know, and I always downplayed what I did and what we were doing because I had that insecurity. And this year, someone pointed out, they were like, you should use that to your advantage, because, and she was right, because when you think about it, as a millennial, I guess you can call me, we know how to push information out to the masses. We know how to make things go viral. We know how to, you know, get the conversation started. And she was like, you can use that to your advantage with this organization, because the conversation needs to be happening. Like, people don't know much about pancreatic cancer. And the more you know the symptoms, the more you know the risk, the more likely you are to catch it at its early stages. You know, the more likely you're to be like, you know, doctor, I might be, you know, you might think I'm crazy right now, but I've heard about this, this, and this, and this, and I just want to see, you know, so that way people, you can get a stage 2 versus stage 4. You can get a stage 1 versus a stage 4, you know? And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be the millennial with the Pancreatic Cancer Foundation, and I'm going to, you know, use my voice to raise awareness for a cause that is near and dear to my heart. And that's what I've been doing.
Wow.
That was so long-winded.
No, I loved it. You're so well spoken, and that coalition needs you, honestly.
For sure.
Thank you.
And
Thank
just
you.
I love hearing like not letting just those little thoughts, those insecurities around. I mean, just starting a foundation is not easy. I mean, it's
hard.
It is so hard.
So hard.
It's such an undertaking. So
yeah,
definitely just the fact that you just pushed through and just decided to do it is incredible. And again, not even just for our own personal health reasons, but this makes me think of our doctor episode, but there's so many, it's so easy not to listen to your body or not know that your body's speaking to you. Okay, so this was like, not side note, but I was looking at this, the Charlotte Honeybees did like an appearance at like a, you know, an elderly care facility. And it just reminds me of like kind of that bridge in generations where they just don't have the same access to information that we do, you know, as I'm not a millennial, but that young people do. And just in the ways that we can look out for other people in our families that are older and may not have that same information at their disposal. But if it's a conversation that you're having as like a check-in on Uncle so-and-so or whatever, where you can start to, if you have that awareness, like you said, that you can raise that as a question, maybe go with them to a doctor's appointment and help serve as that bridge as they're getting all this information from doctors and being able to ask the right questions. So I really commend what you're doing, seriously.
Thank you.
Very inspiring.
Thanks. Yeah, I really feel the more you know, the more, you know, people are educated, the more people are having conversations about it, the more progress can be made towards better access to medication and treatment and all the things that come with making this disease more of a 9% survival rate over 5 years. You know, I think that's totally unacceptable. I just think this is another thing that I'm super passionate about, and I'm excited to see where we go.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to share that link as well. It's also a link on your website, but you do have a separate website for the foundation, so we will share that. There are ways to donate as well, so we encourage everybody to take a peek and check it out. I feel like giving a big fat hug.
I know.
So then we'll segue to, you mentioned locker talk, but it's totally up to you if you wanted to do locker talk or drop it like it's hot. We are ready for both.
I was say, which one's more fun? I don't know.
You have a crazy story that you want to share?
I would say we could do both.
We can ask you.
I can tell you all the story of I embarrassed myself so bad. Oh, one, I was always sleeping in a locker room. So as a gift, I got a t-shirt with a bunch of different pictures people took of me over the course of the year sleeping in my locker.
That's amazing.
Or sleeping like on the bus to the game, or sleeping at like on a bus to an appearance, or like I was nap queen. Okay. So a lot of locker room memories escaped me because I was sleeping. But
I'm just surprised there was time to sleep in the locker room. Like, do you guys get there,
it could be literally 7:00 practice, 6:55. I'm gonna take a real quick nap. Like, that was
you're one of those nappers.
They're like, Jace, we're about to go out. Like, give me a minute. Yeah, I was that girl. I take a nap any amount of minutes mattered.
I love it.
A minute and 30, 2 minutes. I just needed to close my eyes, and I was good.
You guys busted 2 games from like your facility or something?
Mm-hmm. From Valley Ranch. Well, rest in peace, but Valley Ranch.
Oh,
there's no more.
Dang.
Yeah, we meet at Valley Ranch and bus to AT&T Stadium.
And we had to drive directly to the stadium. I'm trying to think of like, well, that wouldn't have been convenient to be anywhere else, I guess, to meet up and then go somewhere. But interesting.
I mean, honestly, I thought that was the case my first year. I lived like around the corner from AT&T Stadium because I was like, I'm going to be smart and I'm going to be right there. And then they were like, meet at Valley Ranch. And I was like, wait, what?
Oh,
what do you mean?
Oh,
So yeah, that was fun. But okay, so my embarrassing story. Do y'all know what a kip up is? Have you seen like you roll down and then you kind of like you roll down on your back and you come onto your hands, your knees come like into a bug position, and then you spring forward onto your feet?
yes.
Oh yeah, that thing.
I didn't know it had a name.
Yes, I have seen it.
Honestly, this is what I've always called it. Some people might call it something differently. But so at a show group performance, it was for like, I want to say it was like the USO or something, but it wasn't on USO tour. But it was like for an event that was happening in Dallas. And we did one of our show group routines, which one of them was called Funk. So it was like our hip hop-ish number. And at the end, there was always one person that kind of like lingered and did like a little solo and tricky trick thing, and then go off the stage, and that's the end of the number. And so I got to be that person my last year, I want to say. And it's an honor to be that person. So I was like, yay, I'm going to do all the things and live my best life. And so my choreo was, I did like a little, I won't say twerpy thing, but like kind of, and then like roll down, kip up, come up, snap, I'm out. Like,
yes, like, yeah.
That's the end. Goodbye. Well, that day.
You kicked down.
It felt like it lasted a whole minute. I rolled down, but I couldn't get on my hands because you have to use your hands to help like push you up. Like you're using your arm strength. And so I rolled down, and the placement of my hand, I couldn't get both of them in the way I needed to be. And so like, just picture it. Me on the floor, like butt, legs in the air, like trying to like figure out how to like get it together. And I couldn't do the kip up. And so after like, it felt like a whole minute of me struggling and like looking like a dead cockroach. And I finally was just like, I give up. And I just rolled back up and waved and ran off.
Oh no.
And they were all like, what just happened? I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, why didn't you recover sooner? Like, why didn't you just like get back up when you realized it was a no? I was like, because I was convinced that I was gonna get it right, but I'm stubborn. So like my stubbornness got in the way.
Are you a Scorpio girl? I have to know. No.
I'm an Aries.
Y'all are stubborn.
We're very stubborn. I was like, no, girl, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Okay, let's give up. It's been a minute. That was what was going through my head.
And you're like still like
down.
I'm
struggling like a dead, like legit dead cockroach. Like,
oh no! I bet it looks so good. Nobody even knew.
It did not. Judy came back and was like, "What was that?"
It's a new move. It went viral.
Yeah. That's what all the kids are doing now.
That is awesome. I love it.
Oh, it was so bad.
That's a
If
great
y'all saw that video, y'all be like, oh, they do mess up.
But that's the thing. I feel like it's like the DCC magic where nobody would ever think of like posting it on YouTube to make it go viral. Of like
It gets
DCC
eliminated right away.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys are
True.
so perfect, like 99.9% of the time, like that small percentage. Like I can't even imagine your directors even scolding you guys about a performance because it's perfect, like 99 out of 100 times.
Well, they demand and expect that of us. So, I mean, yeah. And
Yeah.
they push us in a good way to get to that. And they'll say, you know what, that wasn't like your 10. You could up it. Like, we'll get comments like that. But it was never, you suck.
You're fired. Yeah.
Constructive criticism, like feedback to be better.
Yeah. We can all use that. Well, that was a good one.
It was super good.
We all need those laughs. We not take ourselves.
It happens.
serious.
I mean, I'm sure there's so many more, but I'll stop it there.
Well, we appreciate you
Yeah,
sharing.
we do.
Well, seriously, thank you so much for talking to us and sharing your many voices and all of your creative expression and all of these amazing avenues.
Thank
Just
you.
so cool.
I know. Like you're literally everything I thought you'd be. I mean, not like that, but in my mind, I already kind of felt like I had a great sense of your character and your talents and all of that. And you just totally embody all of it. So I'm just super happy to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. First of all, I had so much fun. I feel like we're like, I don't know. I mean, I know this is our first time having conversation together, but it felt like we've been friends for forever. And it was just so fun and comfortable. And I love y'all. Like, I would come to Seattle and hang out.
Oh my God.
Maybe you'll have me. Yo, we could do the adult dance class.
Oh, that'd be
keep
fun.
singing.
You can be my modern dance teacher. Like, seriously.
Let's do all the things. I'm down for it. But seriously, I admire y'all so much and love this platform that you guys have created to give voice to dancers that, like you said, other people are putting their voice on our voice, like with writers and articles coming out there instead of, you know, us having a voice out. And you guys do that. So I think that's huge and that's necessary and amazing.
So thank you for being part of it.
Seriously, we're super, super excited to share this episode with everybody because
People have been asking for you too.
yes,
I mean,
your name came up in our
Yeah.
survey. Yeah, seriously, we asked for ideas of people to interview and
Mhkeeba's like, check already, you know, like I already knew that.
yeah.
Done.
No.
Thank y'all again. Y'all are so
Thank
amazing.
you. Bye.
I love Jacie. She was so awesome.
Jacie is awesome. I just thought, like, being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, there's so much hype and mystique around what they're like and if they're really that nice and how they handle all that pressure. Like, does it make them, you know, not approachable for some reason? Or I don't know. Just so warm and welcoming. And I got all the feels from talking to her. And just almost like more inspired because there's so many options for people after they stop dancing for a team and just to not look at your life as having any limits, really.
Right.
She became a freaking rocket. Like,
I know.
dude. I mean,
So cool.
no, and just I think people have been talking to us about like retirement, but I think it's just something for people to just start thinking about while you're on these teams. Think about it even while you're, you know, working towards the goal of becoming a pro cheerleader. Just what else do you want to do with that? Like, you'll get the experience of a lifetime being on a team, but what else do you want to do with your dance career? Because I think if you can start, similar to what Derek mentioned in his interview, start like kind of planting those seeds and making those contacts with people. I mean, I just think dancers as a whole really could benefit from like more, I hate networking and a word networking, but just kind of putting out feelers and finding out what you need to do to prepare for that next thing. And if it's something like becoming a Rockettes dancer, or, you know, you can start trying to make contacts with people and asking questions and making sure that you're well positioned to do that after you stop dancing. And she just seemed like she really worked at it, you know, having auditioned multiple times, and just so excited for her. What an awesome journey.
For sure. And I agree. I think it's important to
whatever else you're interested in to even apply it back to dancing. Like we've interviewed plenty of people who now are doctors and give advice, health advice to dancers, or people who design clothing for dancers. And, you know, like you and I starting the podcast, I definitely feel connected to dance just through the podcast, even though we sit and talk the whole time.
We need to dance more.
We sure do. But no, it was super cool and very inspiring and just like overall super sweet person.
Definitely. And I love that she's a writer. Gave me a kick in my butt to obviously get to cracking on what I've started a long time ago with writing. But just a very multifaceted. I think it just shows how awesome not just dancers, but awesome we are. We have so many aspects of our personality, different talents that people are good at. And I just think, you know, we just hope you love the interview just as much as we did.
For sure.
Yay.
Thanks for joining us, you guys.
All right. So all of our social media channels, YouTube, we are going to do a very fun magazine reveal from the Washington Redskins cheerleaders that they sent to us. It is still unopened. We are waiting to do the whole shebang. So stay tuned. You might want to look us up on YouTube as well. And where else are we?
We're on Instagram. Did you already say that?
No.
We do have a Patreon, you guys. So if you want more calendar unveilings or magazine unveilings or just to contribute to like us going to games, we're going to go to a game in Oakland here rather soon in the next few months. So we're excited for that. But it definitely helps us provide you guys with as much content that we can. So, you know, contribute if you can. If not, just keep
listening.
Up the support. Keep listening. And we love communicating with you guys over social media. So until next time,
keep your eyes on the sidelines.